Hey, this is JC and welcome to Small Brick City, where we want to help you build a Lego city regardless of the space you have. Welcome to episode 4 of the Brick Design Breakdown, where we talk about Lego building techniques and ideas. This is a live stream, so if you're in the house, do let me know. Let me know where you're from and what time it is in the world. This particular live stream is different from my other live stream, Coffee and Bricks, which is a weekend live stream. The format, presentation, and delivery is also different. And we will be exploring different builds in this particular live stream. And what are we building today? Specifically, small builds that you can find for maybe a dormitory, a hostel, or even an apartment. And here's a quick shot of the builds we'll be looking at. We've got a little kitchen setup, we've got a bunk bed, which I'm pretty proud of, and we've also got a little nightstand with a photograph or picture on it. And these are basically the builds that I'll be sharing step by step on how to build them. And then I'll also show you how to figure out how to fit them in a small space when you are creating the layout for a Lego apartment or a particular room or a level within a Lego MOC or build that you are actually putting together. So that's what we will be doing. Now, if you have just joined us, hello, welcome to this live stream. It is a bit of a different time compared to the weekend live stream, but if you're watching this live or watching the replay, please hit that like button. Simple way you can support us. Also join in the chat. That's another way you can support us. Engage with us. And of course, super chats are appreciated if they're available in your country. That's that $sign in live chat. If you'd like to give a donation, that's most appreciated. And finally, you can head over to smallbrickcity.com/shop, where you can buy any of our wonderful items we have over there, from building instructions to books and to cool merchandise like this cup over here. This is our own iconic Do Not Disturb building in progress sign that you see right over there. All this available at our shop, so you can head over there now or after the stream and support us. And of course, if you haven't, please very simply subscribe to the channel. Although I know a lot of you watching this have already subscribed, but go ahead and subscribe. Now, if you're into free Lego stuff and you just want maybe some free building instructions or exclusive tutorials, head over to smallbrickcity.com as well. You can subscribe over there, and then you get instant downloads of free building plans, a book preview, video tutorials, and posters. So all that good stuff over there. Now, let's see who we have in the chat before we actually start this live stream proper in the tutorial. Speed Bricks, thank you very much. You were the first one here, I believe. Cindy, BrickTube, Ingrid, Gavin, Lego Dad, how are you doing? And Dope Kicks, all right. And Annie at Small Brick City is here as well. Drum Bones, hi all. James Doble, haven't seen you for a bit, James. Glad to see you here. And remember, let me know where you are in the world and what time it is. It's 10:05 a.m. for me here. For most of you, I know it's going to be either in the night, or for our friends in Europe, well, they're still sleeping. It's 4 a.m. for them. James, reading your book and loving it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Dope Kicks from Michigan. Fantastic. Great to have all of you here. So let's just dive into this. Now, if you just joined us, Alan, good morning. Now, if you just joined us, today we'll be talking about small builds. Not just talking about, I actually show you how to build these items you see in front of you. And I designed this for my current fire station MOC, which I'm building. And you know what, since you're on this live stream, you're actually going to get a sneak peek of the completed product, because I'm currently releasing the videos on building the MOC from start to finish, showing my exact process of building the fire station, and there are just 2 more parts left. However, I've actually already completed the MOC, and I filmed those videos. They'll be released later today and tomorrow, but because you're on this live stream now, you're going to see a sneak peek. But basically, I built these items that you see in front of you for the resting quarters for the fire station. But this can easily be incorporated into an apartment, a dormitory, a hostel, or even a prison because of that bunk bed. So I'll talk about each build in more in depth, but why don't we get started and let's clear the screen over here. And if you are going to ask any questions, typically I will be answering them intermittently during the stream. I won't be chatting with you all the way because I'll be showing you how to build stuff. So if you've got any specific questions, you can keep them to the Q&A portions of this particular stream. So why don't we start with the first one? And this is going to be the little counter with the hot dog that you see. Okay, so these are the parts you need. Now everything we built here is relatively straightforward, so I'm just gonna show you the parts and I'll call out the parts just so that you have a quick idea of what they are. You need a hot dog part. These are these you can use 1x2 modified bricks. You can use 4 1x1 modified bricks, or in this case I have a 1x2 modified brick and 2 1x1 bricks. But basically the configuration you want is to have 4 of these modified studs here. You can use 2 1x2 regular bricks, or this is a column brick which is 2 bricks high. You need 2 jumper plates which are 1x2, a 2x2 regular plate, and a 2x2 jumper plate. This can also be a towel plate or a regular plate, and you'll see why in just a bit. So to put this together is really simple. You need a base plate. In this case, this is the 2x2 light gray plate. Take the regular bricks, put them behind, put the modified bricks on top. Take the 2 1x2 jumper plates, covering the front studs of the modified bricks, and you can see you already get the makings of that little cabinet. Now, I mentioned you can use a jumper plate, a regular plate, or a 2x2 plate, or a jumper plate like this. Now, the reason I'm using this 2x2 jumper plate is very simple. It's so that I can put a hot dog on. You can, of course, put anything you want. You can put a coffee cup, a mug, a bottle, or a frying pan. If you want to put multiple items, that's why you can use a regular plate. If you do not want to put anything and want a clean look, then you can just put a 2x2 towel. So that's it. That is our little counter, which, if you can see in the photo over here, that goes between my fridge and that stove. Really simple. Now let's go to the next one, and this is going to be the stove and the oven, so that little setup over there. So here are the parts you need. You need this oven piece or cabinet piece with a transparent front. To me, this just looks like an oven by itself, so that's great. You need 2 regular 1x1 bricks, so these are stacked together. You need 2 1x1 modified bricks. These are studs in front, and you need a stud and this decorated heating towel piece. If you don't have this gauge or heating gauge, you could also use the meter, which is a round towel. So anything that gives some kind of indication. I like this because of that red portion, so it looks like something is being heated up. A frying pan or a pot. A 2x3 plate. This will be your base. A 2x2 jumper plate. And this 1x2 grill part. To put it together, it's very simple. You start off with the base, and you put that cabinet piece on one side. Place the 1x1 bricks behind in this corner, and the modified bricks with the towel and stud there. Now notice the top, because you have basically, these are loose bricks, right? So these are the joints. We essentially want to cover all the joints to really hold the build together tight. So that's why I'm using this 2x2 jumper plate. And when I sandwich that, now everything is really solid. There's no chance of it breaking apart. And then I use this 1x2 black grill part to give it a bit of an authentic look and just to finish it off. And now because there's a stud, I can put my frying pan on. and that looks like an induction electric cooker or stovetop. And this is it. And together, when you put them together, they fit really nicely because both are 2 studs deep. So now let's move on to the fridge. And that's the white refrigerator you see. Now, first I have to say that unfortunately this refrigerator is not my original design. I wish it was, because I think it's just awesome. This actually comes with the Ghostbusters Fire Station HQ. But I think it's such a great build. I wanted to share it here. And it's very tough, I think, to do good fridges, which are minifig scale. Most of the fridges I see, they're just too huge, out of scale, and they just don't make sense. This fridge, I felt, is really smart. It uses a snot technique, which is studs not on top. So it's not just stacking bricks on top. And it is also a good, efficient use of space. So here are the bricks you need. You need this cabinet part again, but in white with a transparent top. You can have it white if you like. I think in the original design, they had a white cabinet like this. So it's a white door. So you can have 2 of these. But I felt, because I wanted to represent a cooler or refrigerator, I went with this transparent top. But you can, of course, just have 2 completely white cabinets. 4 of these 1x4, these are not 1x4, these are 1x6 tiles. 1x2 jumper plate, 2x2 tile. This modified rail plate. So this is looks like a regular plate, but there's this railing or lip in front. 2 1x2 bricks. These can be actually any color you like because they aren't seen. 2 of these bracket parts. So these brackets are the ones with the studs underneath, and then at right angle you have 4 studs. So there are 2 kinds of brackets. There are brackets with the studs on top, but these are the ones with the studs below. And finally, this modified plate piece. So I'm not even sure what the exact name is, but basically it is a plate with a 1x2 step, and there's studs in front. But you do find these under the modified plate sections in Bricklink. So to build this, you need to build the base first. This is where it's not that intuitive to me. So you put together the 1x2 plates, 1 above and 1 below this light gray modified plate, and that's the reason I actually use darker gray, just so that you can see the contrast easier. So now you need to fill in this section over here. You could use a regular plate, but just to create the sense of some kind of a bottom drawer, you put that modified rail plate there. Now to make things easier, actually I'm just going to take this out for now, because you're going to put this jumper plate over those exposed studs. So this looks like a drawer that you can pull out. Now you're going to create the base, at the same time a holder, and you're going to use these bracket parts and put them underneath like this. So that becomes very neat and compact. Cover the exposed studs on top with that 2x2 tile. So really neat package. And this is the cool thing. This is where the snot technique comes in, because normally in a regular building technique, you just build on top like that. But the way that this is done, you're going to build a snot technique. So take 2 of the 1x6 tiles, put them on the side, and then you're going to take this cabinet part with the studs here and press it. That's why it's snot, studs not on top, the studs are now on the side. And then you do that for the other one. And then now you take the remaining tiles, and they aren't even going to be holding these cabinet pieces in place. These cabinet pieces are only held together by these long tiles over here. And you finish it off like that, and you have a fridge which you can put some items inside, and you have a freezer as well. And that is your finished product. It is just about 2.5 studs by 2.5 studs. So it's an odd shape, but in my personal point of view, this is minifig scale, looks really good, doesn't take up so much space. It's realistic and fits other kitchen accessories, as you can see over here, as how I have done it. Now let's move on to something really simple, and that is the nightstand. Now, this nightstand takes up very little space. It's realistic, and I think you would like it very much. It's very simple to put together. In fact, it's very similar to this cabinet that we built earlier for the kitchen, but it's even smaller because it's thinner. It's only 1 stud deep. You need 4 of these headlight bricks. So these are like the modified bricks, but they're called headlight bricks. There's a slight indentation, as you can see. It looks like a headlight. That's why it's called headlight bricks. It's a modified brick. You need a 1x2 regular brick or plate, a 1x2 jumper plate. You actually need 3, although 2 of them I have in a dark tan color here, just to give it a bit of visual variety. And for the picture frame, it's very simple. You need a decorated towel, and you need this modified towel, which is a clip. This might be harder to see. Let me just try to get it in the right angle and light. This is basically just a clip. I have it in transparent plastic here, but you can use any color you like. This is just a stand, so it's just a clip like that. So to build the cabinet itself, you need a base, and that's what the base is, that 1x2 plate. And you just put the headlight bricks like that. And for the front, just like before, you're going to take 2 of these dark tan 1x2 jumper plates and place them to act as drawers. I placed the 1x2 jumper plate on top, and there you get the cabinet. And of course, to do that picture in a frame, you just pop that on. Now take note, this is the new style of modified towel with clip. It's got rounded clips, so this is a legal technique. It's not an illegal technique. If you use the old style clip, which has the straight clip over here, that's an illegal technique. Now do not ask me why, but at least for Lego, this is an official building technique, and they've used it for Harry Potter sets, and most recently for the Townhouse and Pet Store. That's a summer 2019 set. And there you have, that's the nightstand. Now we come to my favorite build, and this is the bunk bed. Now I designed this because I wanted some beds for the Firehouse. Originally I was going with Murphy beds, which was folding beds into the wall, because that doesn't take up space or as much space. But I've never really seen that for a Firehouse. Although I'm sure there are firehouses, at least just to my knowledge, I haven't seen that. So I wanted something that was space saving, realistic, and just practical. And then I thought of the time I spent in army. Excuse me. So I spent 2.5 years in army for national service, another 13 years for reservists. But basically in the army camps, we had bunk beds, and they looked exactly like what you see in front of you. They have a metal frame and very simple in look. And I posted this on Instagram, and Robin Howells, he said it looked like a prison bunk bed, which is true, as Drumbones said. Okay, but we'll do this as quickly as I can. Okay, so back to the parts. You need a baseboard, and the baseboard in this case is made of a 4x6 brown plate. In this case, I use a 2x4 and a 4x4, and you need a 2x6 plate. That's important. 2x6 plate, and you need 4 clips. And these clips go on, one on each end facing out. So you fill in the rest of the space with plates. So that's a 1x4 plate, that's a 1x2 plate, and finally you put this modified plate with open bar elements. And then you put 1x4 plates underneath, that's to hold the clips into place. And you need to create a mattress, and you just create a layer, and all you need to do is simply use white plates to cover it. So in this case, I have 2x4 plates, but you can use a big plate, and I'm just gonna cover that way. cover that way. And finally, I have a stack of white plates and a towel to act as the pillow. And then I put in these two like that. So there you have the base bunk bed. And then you need 4 of these bar elements where they clip on. As mentioned, remember the stopper has to be right there on it, just so it's stable. So the next bunk bed is exactly the same. The only difference is in terms of the construction. You want to make sure that the bottom over here is not a 2x6 plate, but is a 2x8 plate, so that you have exposed studs from either side like that. So now with the clips, because it's built exactly the same way, you can just clip them onto the top of the bars. Make sure everything is level. And remember, this side we had that open bar element. You want a modified bracket with double clips here. So it's a bit different, and that's for the ladder. But before we get to the ladder, I'm just going to cover these two exposed studs with these bars, just like that. And finally, the ladder goes on, and they clip on like that. And that's the bunk bed. Okay, fire away. Those are all the items. Let me just pull them out, and let me pull up the chat, and you guys can ask any specific questions that you had if I missed anything or anything was unclear. So go ahead and chat. And if you're around, hit the like and subscribe button, or you can hit the dislike as well, since I messed that up quite a bit. But let's pull this up. What do we have it here? More people have joined in, of course, so just quick shout outs to Makita, Kawi Creations, Tayshawn, thank you everyone, Excalibur Buildings, and you have any specific questions of the different builds? Nope, everyone's good. Well, I hope you liked it. So it's pretty straightforward. If you have no questions for these specific items, I think the next question is, how do we fit them into the interior of a building? Now, what's the brown one? Okay, so this brown one, Lego Boy Creation says, this is a little nightstand. It's really tiny, and you can put anything on top. Of course, you can put a lamp. I am just chose to put this picture over here. What are the parts for the bunk bed bars? That's what Makita asked. So which bars are you asking about? Are you talking about this bar over here? These are just bar elements. If you go to Bricklink, you just look for the bar element. These are railing pieces. And that's a ladder. Why not put the stopper on the top bunks? Well, the reason I did it is simply because there's weight resting on the bottom of the bar, right? Because you have the weight of this particular top bunk bed. Of course, in Lego, and especially such a small build, probably doesn't really make much difference. But because there's weight here, so it makes sense for the stopper to be at the bottom so that it doesn't fall down. Of course, you can make the argument, well, if the stopper here so the top bed doesn't slide down. But that's just the way structurally I saw it, because there is weight from the top, so you want the base to be really supportive. And generally when I build, I think in terms of keeping the base heavy. So I do not like builds which are top heavy. So if I see builds or even buildings where the top is really much bigger than the base, and for no specific reason, I personally find this visually unbalanced. I think for us generally, we like balance, and we are very used to seeing the bottom being stronger, having a strong foundation and a base, and then as we go up, it gets lighter. So that's the reason why I build it this particular way. All right, so now let's see the firehouse, and I'll show you how I'm going to fit these items in and how I plan the space for small builds. So if you guys have been following my series, you might have been familiar with the Firehouse, and let's just change this camera angle a bit so that you get a better view. So Fuzzy Brick Studios asked for a look at the Firehouse. This is my completed Firehouse. Currently you have part 3 of the video that's up, building this in process, but this is the actual final build, and you're getting a sneak peek for the very first time. So this is how all the detail is done. I will not show you the inside just to save it for the videos when they come out, but this is at least the exterior. One major change that I did, and this shout out to Adrian Langley. This is my accordion folded doors, which I like very much, but I had them folded on the left previously, and he suggested folding on the right, and for some reason I never thought that, but this makes much more sense. It doesn't go to the next modular building. And this is where the fire truck is, and this is the new 2019 fire truck, and that goes in like that, and this closes up just like that. So that's basically the fire station, the garage, the administrative office, and over here is where we have the resting quarters for the firemen. And that's what I'm going to show you over here. So this is a modular building, so I can pull it off. Let's bring the camera down once again, and we can have a look on the inside. So I'll take off the roof because it is modular. And this is the space I created. So here's the door to get into the room or the resting area. And this is basically the layout that I've created. So I'll go through a quick process of how I come up with a layout. So generally when we are working with Lego builds or MOCs, most of the time you're building a square or a rectangle. Sometimes you might have an odd shape like an L shape. But by and large, you are working with straight areas. So generally, you won't have a huge circle unless it's a very specific MOC, or you won't have curved parts. So by and large, I would say easily 80% of the time you're working with straight edges. So a rectangle, a square, or L shape. So this is basically a rectangle, very close to a square. It's 16 by 14 studs, 16 here, 14 here. So the first thing I do anytime I'm working with a room is, of course, to think of the function. And this is just like interior decorations or decorating. If you're old enough to own your own property and you've done a bit of your own ID, you might be familiar with this, or if you've worked with contractors or interior designers to design, you might be familiar with that. If not, you can always go online, go on YouTube, go to Pinterest and look for good use of space. And I always highly recommend checking out tiny houses, tiny apartments, because those are the most relevant to Lego building, because you have a tiny space to work with, but you have to maximize the space. So I personally have a keen interest in that area, and I basically like interior designing for tiny spaces, maximizing spaces. Professionally, I also design illusion equipment for magicians and illusionists, and for my own show as well. And it's always about fitting as much as you can in a small space for efficiency. So that all carries over to this as well. So when I think of a space, the first thing I do is to think about is usage of space. So it's functionality over aesthetics first. So I need to know what the room is for. So specifically, and I'll be confining my discussion just for this because it's relevant to this particular video, and that is, what is this room used for? In this case, this is the resting room for the firemen, a place where those who are on duty but may not be on active duty downstairs, and they're just resting. So what do I need here? That's the thing I'm asking myself. And the most important, as everyone who knows me, the most important thing is a toilet or a bathroom. And that's the first thing I always design for a room which requires one of these. So I've already built it. As you can see over here, there's a shower. There's also a toilet. That's the door. And over here you can see the shower head, and the faucets or the taps are on the wall. So the way I decided on this position was just almost common sense, at least when it comes to interior designing. So that's the main door there. You generally, as far as you can, do not want to put a toilet directly in front of the main door. So you never want to just walk in and you see a toilet. Just aesthetically, that doesn't look nice. The second reason is because this is a door. Anytime you have a door, any access point, you need clearance space for minifigs, right? So minifig has to open and he has to go in here. So you can't have anything blocking directly in front of the door. If this toilet was, say, over here, the space I have here has already been drastically cut down. I may not have much functional space anymore because I don't have much space, so that becomes wasted space. Therefore, it makes sense to have any area, especially for a small room like this, to have a completely clear area in front of the door. Right? So that's how I decided it. Therefore, there are only two places where the toilet can be. It can be over here or it can be over here. And really, I think in this case, it doesn't make a difference. It could have been either side, but I just chose to have it here. So you can have it either side. So once I determined the position of the toilet, I had to figure out the size. So I knew I wanted to have the toilet itself, the toilet bowl, and I wanted to have a shower area. So I came up with these dimensions, which I believe are 4x6 interior dimensions. I have done much smaller toilets, but I felt they needed a very comfortable shower after a hard day's work. So that's the size I came up with. Then the next thing was how to figure out the space. So the next and most important thing was the bed. I talked about creating Murphy beds, which are folding beds, which I could have done here, folding them against this wall, but I don't really see that much, so I felt the bunk bed was good, and that's how I came up with the bunk bed. So I came up with the dimensions of the bunk bed, and they just fit. So anytime I work, I always want to make sure I have a minimum of 2 studs clearance, if not 3 to be comfortable. So what am I talking about? You have to imagine a minifig, and if they're moving around a room, how much space do they have to move through a room comfortably? And the answer is 3 studs to be comfortable, 4 studs to be really comfortable, and 2 studs if it's really needed. Sometimes if you're going around a tight corner, for a small building, you can get away with 2 studs. Now, here is 2 studs. It is pretty tight, but it is realistic. And I'm thinking back to my bunk bed in the army again. Everything is squeezed very tightly because you've got 12 guys in a room. So everything is really tight. You don't have much space. So that is realistic to me. So when I had built any of these builds, I will plate or tile the floor and I put jumper plates. That's just so that I can put things easily in and out. So I've got a 1x4 jumper plate, as you can see down there, and that allows me to put in my bunk bed. I'm not going to put it in yet because I'm going to put in the nightstand. But in terms of my thought process, that's how I worked first. I put in the bunk bed, and then I realized I had a little bit of space, so I could maximize that space by putting in a nightstand, which is why I created this nightstand here. And I've got a plate there, so I can put in a nightstand, and now it's just easier for me to put in the bunk bed. So that's how I came up with that corner of the fire station resting floor. So now the rest of the area was basically the kitchen area that I knew I wanted. I knew there was no space for a dining table, so I didn't do that. But I needed to have the basics. So I started off with the fridge and the stove and oven first. And then when I worked with the fridge, now I knew I couldn't put it all the way to the edge. Because if I put it all the way to the edge, which is a natural thought, let me try to put it here so you can see it. That's the natural thought, to save space, but I just felt it was a bit uncomfortable to come in through the main door and you really only get 1.5 or maybe 2 studs of clearance, but I just felt that was uncomfortable for the main door, so I put it in by 1/2 stud, so that's a bit more comfortable. So in this way I worked backwards, and once I determined that, then I realized I had 5 studs left over here on this side, and that's how I designed these 2 elements here. So in this case, I actually designed these elements based on the space I had left. And once again, I'm going to put that there on the studs. And I will put this down just to make it easier. and I'll put the oven here, and finally where's my fridge goes back here. So that's how I came up with that space. Now the final missing ingredient was actually the sink, because I knew I needed a sink to wash dishes and for minifigs to wash their hands. So my first thought was to put it into the toilet. There wasn't space, but luckily there was space back there, as you can see. And this makes more sense to me. So this sink can be common to both the kitchen and minifigs after they use the toilet. And that's basically how I came up with the space and how I planned the space and the different builds so that there's really livable space and excess space for the minifigs. And there you have, that's my resting area for the Firehouse. Now, Excalibur Builders, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that. And you asked, and I'm backing up here, I'm going back to the garage. You asked why I didn't build 2 doors. Yes, I did try that configuration, and several people have actually asked that, why didn't I just do 2 doors and 1 door? And I could have, most definitely, but I just really like this accordion fold. It just looks cool. It looks a bit different. You don't see this technique or this design for a garage door, and it makes sense because I have seen large doors like this accordion fold. So it's nothing more than my personal preference. So let's see if you've got any questions specifically on the layout or the builds. Good night, Kawi. Any specific questions, guys, on what you've just seen? If not, I will wrap up this particular bricks design breakdown live stream. Do not forget, do check out the videos. Part 4 of this Firehouse video will be coming up later today, so you can see my process of actually doing all the external detailing of how I came up with all these different elements just to make it look different and give it this kind of a look. And personally, this is now, I think, my current favorite mock, just how the functional space and the aesthetics came together to create this fire station. Now, since this is a build designed live stream, I also share some of the ideas or projects that I'm working on. The next thing I'm working on is the Hogwarts Church, and that's basically a mock to the church that I'm building. And a shout out to Annie. She's done this incredible tandem mirror build of the Hogwarts Great Hall. You can check it out on her channel. She's on a live stream. If not, just search for Annie Small Brick City. She basically built 2 of these Great Hall sets at the same time, 1 in each hand, and a mirror build. That's right, so it's pretty cool. You can check it out on her channel. Let me just pull it up so that you can see it. Her channel is Annie Small Brick City. So just look for that, check out that video and subscribe to her channel. I believe someone had a question, and let's have a look. Should there be a fire escape in the Firehouse? Yes. And Excalibur Builder says, I'm blocking all the fire exits. No, nothing is blocked, as you can see. Unless you're talking about the window. The window is blocked. But really, the door is right here. And this is the stairs going down. So I did not have a fire pole because to me this is a small fire station. It's not a main fire station. That's why I don't have the main fire engine. I've explained this in my previous videos on this particular mock. But this is an auxiliary fire station. So they have really quick access anyway if they're resting to get out here and get in through the back door to the garage to do their things. So it's really pretty quick as well. And if they want to get to the roof, they just need to pull this down and they get to the roof over here. And if they need to get to the water tank above the garage, they come over here and climb down this ladder over here. So everything is accessible. Yeah, okay, so you're saying both windows are blocked. Yeah. And I've also explained this before. When I build these, I don't think in terms of the windows as fire escape points. I really think of them from the aesthetic view of the particular build. and things like privacy and all, we just assume they're curtains and stuff. Because if we really have to worry about the excess, then you'd really need much more space than you can. So yeah, we do have to make sacrifices while we try to get as realistic as we can for building stuff in Lego. We do have to make some sacrifices. So it's a balance between aesthetics and functionality, just like real life actually. So you guys have any last questions? If not, we will end this stream. Now we do have a weekend stream called Coffee and Bricks. Do join us for that. That is on Saturday. That'll be a Saturday, either late morning or daytime for you. Or if you're in Asia or Australia, that'll be really in the middle of the night. Excalibur buildings, how about a doghouse for the fire dog? Maybe I can fit a doghouse. You're right. Let's see if I can fit it behind over here. That's quite a good suggestion. Not much space. Maybe I can move the trash can somewhere over here, and we can have a little doghouse here. Or maybe I'll have one in front. That's a good suggestion. I think it'll add a bit of character to the firehouse, and I will look into that. Fuzzy Brick Studios, you said any tips? Any tips on what? I'm getting into making small MOCs. Do you have any tips for me? Well, I would say head over to my YouTube channel, check out the playlist, and I've got a playlist specifically on Lego MOC and city building guides. So I've got a whole bunch of videos, probably now easily 50 videos there, and you can check that out. And let's see, Lego Boy Creations, where do you get your reference material for the masonry brick walls? It's actually from the Sanctum Sanctorum set. This is Pete's apartment, and I actually remocked it to become Pete's apartment as the version you saw it, and then I took my mock to remock it to the Firehouse. Samuel Turner says, I'm wondering, the water tank seems distant from the bathroom and the sink. So this water tank is not for that. The water tank is an emergency water refills for the fire truck inside over here. So there is like piped water for, you know, all the bathroom and the sink, and even for the fire truck refill. But in the event of some disaster or crisis where the water supply is cut, then if they need to refuel, they at least have some reserves over here for the water tank. So that water tank is only for the fire truck. Can I make the bell golden? I don't have the parts. I'm sure if I had the parts, I could take the design used for the fire brigade and put it here, which that is gold. So I might consider that. Thank you very much. Excalibur say, don't smoke in bed. Yes, don't smoke at all. Don't play leapfrog with a unicorn. Makita says, you should place some legs and torsos to simulate the uniforms are ready for an emergency. I was thinking of that. Honestly, there wasn't much space, so I've got lockers instead. And maybe I'll put them in the lockers, and when we open the lockers, we'll see them. Fire hydrant. I was thinking of that. In fact, I did build a fire hydrant, and it was supposed to go in, but I didn't know where to put it, so I thought of putting it here. But I do not know if people put fire hydrants right in front of a lamp post, because I was thinking of putting it right here in this corner. If you think it's a good idea, I will put the fire hydrant here, because I do have that ready. Could I make a Lego city on a single shelf? Yes, you can. And again, if you head to my videos, I've got lots of videos on that. And I will be doing an upcoming video very soon, probably early next week, maybe even on Sunday, depending on my schedule. And I'll be showing how you can put together or start a Lego city with the summer 2019 sets. So do check that out. I think that might be applicable for you, because that will be a small Lego city setup, and it uses only the new sets. Well, guys, you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for all the great suggestions as well for the different things. I will incorporate it into the final design. I have not filmed my review video for this particular mock yet, because I did want to hear feedback and comments from you guys. So only after I publish the final video of building this mock from start to finish and all the feedback comes in, will I make the last final amendments, and then I will work on that review video, and you can see the final product, both the exterior and the interior. James, thanks for the plug for my book. Yes, my book is called Bricks for Small Places and is specifically for building a Lego city in a small place. David West says, not sure you need a fire hydrant in front of the fire station. That was what I was thinking as well. Normally it's in front of buildings which does not have access to fire. But let me do a bit of research. I'm not an expert on fire stations, so if anyone's a fireman or a designer of real fire stations, let me know. Well, thank you very much, you guys. As I said, appreciate the support. Once again, head over to Annie's channel, subscribe to her channel, check out her great content, very unique stuff. And her latest video is this double mirror build simultaneously of the Great Hall. And as always, you can support the channel in different ways. Like the video and subscribe. That's the simplest thing you can do. That's the only thing I asked. And once again, I'll answer any last few questions offline. And if you're watching the replay, do leave a comment as well. Well, thanks guys. Once again, I hope to see you in the